out to the buff. Alright, when I wiggle this around in the light, I'm looking to see that I got the whole sharpened edge polished. Depending on how big this sharpened edge is, you might have to hit this and think about polishing it in 3 different spots. The very middle of the convex, up top where it finally meets the grind, and then the very edge which actually does your cutting. But you don't want to polish just this, because it will cut, but if the rest of that sharpened edge is not as smooth and polished as it could be, you'll have resistance there going through whatever you're cutting. So you might as well just polish the whole thing or here and make it as smooth and flowing through whatever. This is another important thing I've discovered. Always use the same medium for checking the edge. Whether it's, we always use notebook paper. Newsprint, a certain magazine, whatever you use, just make sure that it's the same all the time, so when you continuously sharpen, you can cut the paper or whatever you're going to use with a couple swipes and say to yourself, I can hear that it's sharp, I can see how it's cutting, I know that it's sharp. It'll make things go a little faster instead of trying to play the guessing game every time that you're using different material. Come here and see if you can't focus on this. Might be hard to tell, but right here at this edge where the paper has just been cut, you can see that it's relatively straight. I don't know if you can see that real good on there. There's no real curl on the paper right at the edge, not a very big curl. I've noticed that, especially with this notebook paper, if it is curled a lot, the knife, which is obviously cutting it, is probably could be sharper if you polish it more. That's fairly sharp. Another little test is if you can just hit the paper right on the edge. Let's see if I can do it here. Nope. You want the knife to slice into the paper and cut it only, not tear it. Let me hit this 1 or 2 more times here. Something else with the buffer wheel, if you have access to some sort of buffing like this, this is a really hard durometer on this felt wheel. These 2 buffers, this is what we use to polish the scales on the knife. Now you can see that this buffing wheel is sewn with these concentric circles. It's pretty stiff. This is a loose floppy wheel, same exact material. We used to sharpen on this as well. So if you have access to a buffing machine of some sort at a garage or a body shop, that might work pretty good too. You just have to make sure you don't catch the spine while you're doing it and throw the knife onto the floor or into your foot. That's no good. But this works just fine with the same exact medium, this green compound stuff. Okay. I can hear a little bit that this is sharper. Now this being 4140 high carbon, a little bit softer. A great way to finish one of these up is by hand with a leather strop. Whether it has compound on it or not, you can do that final polish on a strop. This is pretty good though. Okay. Can you focus on that? Maybe I'll put that dark behind it. You can see that it is only cut. Go ahead, JD. You can see that it is merely a cut, not a tear. So it went pew, nice and sharp. And can you see that little hunk of paper on there? She's plenty sharp. So now we have a good convex. We're right up the point. We don't have a burr left or anything. It's nice and sharp. And easily maintained in the field with a strop. You don't have to have one of those great big bat strops. You don't have to carry a mouse pad and sandpaper with you, although that works good for sharpening. When you're in the field, carry a small wrapped up piece of leather, even if it's an old belt. Some sort of stropping device. Get some compound at a hardware store or something like that. Something quick and easy to maintain your knife will keep it sharp in the field, easy enough to maintain. Tie that thing off to a tree, pull back on it, get a little tension, and not only go back and forth, but go left to right. We'll go over stropping in another video. That'll maintain the edge pretty good. One last thing that we do here at the shop, since sometimes when I'm buffing, I take this point off, and I want the point real sharp and pointy, is I'll go back on my machine, change the attachment to a wheel, and I'll do something like this with a belt, just to bring that back to sharp. You can do that in the field easily enough on a stone, something like that, if you want to. Depending on what you're doing with it. You might want that sharp, you might want it a little bit dull so you don't tap into some game while you're processing game. But as far as the edge goes, she's good and sharp. So that is introductory 101 to our sharpening with the machines in the shop. We'll bring you more later using other things, like a strop. I think Johnny's going to do some stropping with us to sharpen. We'll try it with a mouse pad. We'll try it with sandpaper. And then we'll try it with things that you might just find in the office, what's left over at the cabin, which would be the underside of a coffee cup and a legal pad or a piece of cardboard. We'll use the non-glazed ceramic as our cutting device to get the burr, and then we'll use a legal pad or a piece of cardboard to strop to sharp. That's it. Scooter Man on the inside. Thanks for watching.